The Art of War by Sun Tzu. This book is head above shoulders the premier work in any successful war strategy. It has stood the test of time more than I think any other book that I've reviewed on this channel, having been published some 2,500 years ago. The significance of The Art of War cannot be understated. At the same time, neither can the shortness of its length. I hate reading. I only listen to audiobooks, and an old coworker actually gave me a copy. I don't know what kind of conversation took place that ended up happening. It was such a cute little thing, that book. This book could literally fit in your pocket, maybe even your wallet. And I read it maybe twice. Like I said, I hate reading. The average audiobook is about 6 to 8 hours. You know how many hours long The Art of War is? One. Just one. No more, no less, just one. At the same time, this was written 25 centuries ago. So you probably couldn't say how easy it is to understand without checking it out for yourself, but there are many translated versions. The most popular is probably by Lionel Gates in 1910, and that is the one that I'm reviewing. Sun Tzu is considered one of history's finest military tacticians, and this book's teachings have single-handedly formed the backbone over the years of advanced military training around the globe. It may have only sold around 10 million copies. Everyone online seemed to have a different number, but this one seemed to have like sort of a happy average. But some could say it's one of the most impactful books ever written, since it's not only used as standard reading in most, if not all, military academies worldwide today, but it also has influenced many of the world's most powerful people in both war and other areas of life on Earth that have nothing to do with war. There are 13 chapters, each of which focuses on a specific skill or strategy pertaining to war, but in this video, I'm going to review this book. I'm going to go over the chapters, things I liked, things I didn't, which probably won't be that much at all. Because I mean, what's not to like, man? It's frickin' Sun Tzu. Things I learned and found illuminating, some standout quotes from the book, who I recommend this book to, and what books to maybe check out next. Just so you guys know, there are affiliate links in the description, and if you buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel to keep making these videos. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. Chapter 1, Laying Plans. Here was a layout of the 5 governmental factors of the art of war. The first is the moral law, which is how well people follow the leader. Heaven, which is night and day, cold and dark, etc. Basically environment. Earth is distance, danger, open ground, chances of life and death, and security. I don't know what about Earth means these things exactly, but it is what it is. I mean, this book is literally 100 times my age. So what the hell do I know, right? The commander is the wisdom, sincerity, courage, and strictness. It almost sounds like he's laying out principles or elements as opposed to governing factors, or he's laying out governing factors and saying that the principles or elements are what they represent. I thought this was going to be like, well, the commander is the first person in command, or Earth is the physical environment. Lastly, the method and discipline are subdivisions and maintenance of really everything that's underneath the commander's supervision, but that's the moral law. You see, and it's sort of like an axis around which the wheel of this framework of warfare turns. And then he gives examples of how these apply to war and what they are. Chapter 2 is Waging War. From this chapter, I learned that long wars are not for people who aren't very experienced in them. I have to admit, even this 1910 version was a little bit difficult to follow. It wasn't impossible, but some parts I had to listen to more than like 3 times just to really grasp. This book in general is worth digesting well more than 3 times in order to grasp. This is the type of book that someone should just read or listen to over and over again throughout the course of like a year, just to understand how it really works. Chapter 3, Attacking by Stratagem. Some of the stuff he says in this book is so heavy and worth considering. You can only imagine how much time and thought actually went into writing it. I can only imagine some guy like 2,500 years ago, like he wrote it in like 40 minutes, and it's just like a total 16 bar freestyle. I don't know what stratagem means, so I looked it up because, guys, this is not a normal word people use every day, okay? It's just not. When I first read it a few years ago, I was like, is this like a fancy back in the day type of way to say strategies? No. Stratagem is a plan or scheme, especially one used to outwit an opponent or achieve an end. It's not like a strategy. In fact, on Google definitions, strategy doesn't even come up as a synonym synonym for it. When I looked up the definition of strategy, it came up as a plan of action, as opposed to just plan, or policy designed to achieve a major or overall aim. They sound the same, but the definition of stratagem, doesn't it sound more warlike? I don't know. Words stand out in it, like scheme, outwit, and opponent, that give off that, art of war kind of vibe we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? As Sun Tzu said, it's better to recapture an army entirely than to destroy it. You have to break the enemy's resistance without fighting. You screw up their plans. You get rid of the function of their forces. Then you attack their army in the field. These are from best to worst, by the way. But I like how he puts so much emphasis on the importance of subduing the enemy without fighting. Chapter 4 is Tactical Dispositions. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb to every battle. Chapter 5 is Energy. There is something so badass that he did in this chapter. He explained how there can be 5 musical notes, but they can be used to put together an infinite array of different melodies. And then he said there are 3 primary colors that can be used to make any hue of color, and there are 5 different tastes that yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. And yet he beautifully adds that there are 2 different methods of attack, direct and indirect, and that they give rise to an endless series of maneuvers. It's just stuff like that you're like, oh my gosh, like how did this dude come up with this? Chapter 6 is Weak Points and Strong. Sun Tzu has this seriously yin-yang way of looking at things. He basically said that a general is good at attacking people who don't know what to defend, and he's good at defending against who doesn't know what to attack. Like, this book is chock full of sayings just like this, meant to stick in a way. If neither time nor place be known, then the left wing will be impotent to succor the right equally impotent to succor the left, the van unable to relieve the rear, and the rear unable to support the van. I also love when he's like, the general who does this is the best general. You hear stuff like that and you think to yourself, like, damn, I want to be the best general, maybe I should do this. Chapter 7, Maneuvering. He also has a very poetic, vivid way to describe his instructions, sometimes leaving them to the imagination of the reader or listener. In a book called The Art of War, I can't help but think that ideally written, you kind of have to. Let your rapidity be that of the wind, your compactness that of the forest, raiding and plundering like fire, immovability like a mountain. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Variation in Tactics, Chapter 8. The end of this described the 5 dangerous faults that affect a general. So quick cheat code here. The first one is relentlessness, because it leads to destruction. The second is cowardice, because it leads to capture. The third is hasty temper. I know you out there watching this with a hasty temper because you are provoked by insults. Ooh. The fourth is delicacy of honor because it's sensitive to shame. And the fifth and last is over solicitude of men, exposes to worry and trouble. Chapter 9 is the army on the march. This was where to do what? Ground, rivers, banks, hills, country, cliffs, hollows, etc. When you really like listen to this, like you're gonna think at some point like it's really weird to think that a human being wrote this. It's like he was looking into the future saying this is what people will do. And this is what people have done. Chapter 10 is terrain. Then you have the 9 varieties of ground, which he describes. These situations take place in, well, different situations. The whole section takes up more space in the book than any other, and this chapter makes up about 15% of the whole thing. Chapter 11 is the attack by fire, and again, the whole thing with your imagination. What's interesting to me about using that, you think to yourself, well, you know, this was written how long ago? How applicable can this be to today, and what would it be applicable to? You wonder how it could relate to stuff today. He says you can burn soldiers in their camp, you can burn stores, you can burn baggage trains, you can burn arsenals, and you can drop fire amongst the enemy. He really goes over when and when not to deliver fire in this. And lastly, this chapter 12 is the use of spies. If you know this channel, you know what I'm probably about to say. I just imagine myself as another person having watched like so many of these videos thinking right now, like, what the hell is he about to say? Why does he always say that? Well, on this channel, our favorite books on this channel are perfect examples of uniqueness, marketability, balance, and efficiency. But one of the most impressive things to me about The Art of War is just how much information he was able to put in such a short book. It is unreal the weight of the lessons you can get out of The Art of War, and it does so much more than lived up to its legendary reputation, as I, a reviewer, expected to for many years to come. Quotes, "All warfare is based on deception. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. One may know how to conquer without being able to do it. Avoid what is strong and strike what is weak." Direction 1. Anyone who goes into any battle of any kind daily could definitely use this book. Your need for the book, I'd say, would depend on the nature of what kind of battles you face, if that makes sense. Hey, just use your imagination. Wink. Why would I say wink without winking? Probably because I don't wink well. Direction 2. If you like this book, definitely check out 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. Definitely. It's a personal favorite of mine. It's an incredibly extensive take on this book's contents that have taken place across history since and sometimes I think even before its release. Artists and writers, by the way, might just love another piece of work called The War of Art, about a hard-headed and rather stoic approach to conquering the most common and frustrating obstacles of the creative process. The Art of War by Sun Tzu. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you don't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.